I won a prestigious scholarship while I was an undergrad that covered my master's degree in London. And I wanted to share 4 things that helped me succeed. And I think it's really applicable if you're currently an undergrad looking to apply to, specific programs, fellowships, scholarships, master's degree programs, or if you've been in the workforce and looking to apply. So I'm gonna be doing my makeup and we'll share some of the key steps that helped me succeed. So when I was an undergrad, there was about 6 scholarships and fellowships that you could apply to. It was the Fulbright, Henry Luce Scholarship, Rhodes, Marshall, Truman, and Beinecke. And I knew at the time that I wanted to do my master's in the UK, specifically international policy with a focus on Africa. And based on my research, the UK had more programs and scholars that focused on Africa, which is why I chose to do it there. Since I had a better clarity of what it is that I wanted to do, I wanted a scholarship to be able to fund that. And I started to figure out my why earlier on. Quick story, I had taken a semester off from Spelman during my first year because I was unsure about what major to pick and what I wanted to do. And until I understood or had a better picture of what my why was, I didn't want to go ahead and just pick a major. And that was a very tough but exciting decision that I made. And I think had it not been for that, I wouldn't be able to tell you what it is that I wanted to do. And fast forward, I took that semester off, traveled, came back. Once I got into Spelman, I knew I needed to win something. And there were 4 key things that helped me do that. First, understand your why. I know that's a very basic key step, but I remember doing this activity called the 5 whys. And in doing that, I was able to articulate what the problem was, how to solve it, why it mattered, and why it mattered specifically to me. Without those things, if you cannot articulate that, then I think you will be stuck as you continue to write your statement or, if you're trying to explain what the problem is. And I think that's just generally applicable to if you're writing a grant for some funding. Like if you can articulate the why and how you plan to solve it, short term and long term, and why it actually matters to you, I think it's really critical. That helped me build my narrative quicker. The second part is storytelling is a craft and it takes a while. I think for me, I understood that. So I started working on my application earlier on. I think I worked on it 8 to 10 months in advance for each application because I knew I wanted to apply. And if I'm being quite honest, I had about maybe 10 to 15 people review them. I had advocates and people who were really good at giving me good feedback. They would edit it and tell me, this works, this doesn't make sense. And I took half of it and left the rest because at the end of the day, I was the one telling my story and I wanted to tell it in a way that made sense to me without it having to feel like it was someone else's voice. So the feedback that I got was helpful and I implemented half of those things, not all. And as I was writing, I'm like, okay, if I were to read this 10, 15 years down the line, what story am I telling, right? And now when I read it, I'm actually really proud of what I wrote. I used the core of that story for different applications and it's helped me succeed in that. So I took up half of what they said. In hindsight, I think that was the best decision that I made because it was my story and I wanted to feel like mine and not theirs. So I think that made a significant difference in my application. And when you're reading it, it should read like your autobiography or your book. And that takes time and doesn't happen by accident. So you need to take the time to tell your story and craft your own narrative. So that's the second piece. And the third piece that I would really like to highlight is be intentional about who you ask for letters of recommendation. I think the common mistake that I see is folks thinking that their application is the only thing that matters. That's not the case. You got to think of it as a whole package. So having someone to really advocate for you is really important. I shared it with them because I wanted the narrative to match, and you want to be able to tell the full picture as a whole. So if somebody's advocating on your behalf, they should be able to advocate that you're the best person to do it. And the only way you can do that is aligning with them, connecting with them, and sharing your personal statement in advance or your essays in advance so that they know how to match theirs to yours. And I think there's so much power in declaring what it is that you want and going after it. My goal was to graduate from Spelman, do my master's abroad with a prestigious scholarship. And that happened. I applied to all fellowships and scholarships and ended up getting the Beinecke Scholarship, which funded my master's degree in London. London. And that was such an amazing experience that I'm so grateful that I bet on myself and asked for the support, got the feedback. When I say I put my best foot forward, I genuinely did, and it yielded in some kind of result. And if you are in that process right now where you're trying to figure out how to tell your story, where to apply, like how to even get started, feel free to connect with me, leave a comment. I am usually helping someone try to craft a, personal statement, scholarship. So if you need that support, it's something I love to do, like helping you find your story. So yeah, if you're interested, let's connect. Okay, I am finishing up my makeup and I'm in a rush, but save this for later, share it with someone who you think might need it. And if you've been sitting on that application, go ahead and start on it. And best of luck.